So Sniper Doofus is just here back again with another what is it, live analysis. And what I do is kind of just go over the pairs, clean up my charts for the week, kind of see what direction it's heading in into the future, hopefully, or just like looking for some good setups so we can get. And then at the end of the week, or like next week, I'll be doing this again, cleaning up the charts. And if you guys do want to see kind of how I trade, just check out on my YouTube, or you can like follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Discord, just one of those three if you want to shoot me a message. So with that said, let's just hit up the chart straight away, right? No point just wasting time. So here, if I just zoom out here, I can kind of, I don't know what this BS line is, maybe the hourly, whatever that is. I don't think I put it in there. Well, let's actually see what that is. Maybe it's a 1 month chart. Oh, it literally is. Lol. What is this? 2012? BS crash in 2012. Alright, let's get rid of that. So we go back to the 1 hour charts. So normally I do actually trade on kind of the 1 hour time frame, where I do look for my entries and my exits. And right now what I'm seeing here on this pair, so normally it's kind of been trading within this range here, even if you go out towards a 4 hour chart. You can kind of see that recently for this big chunk here, it's kind of been trading within. This little drop here in the currency was mainly just due to the uncertainty in relation to that US election. And I knew that, entered in on a buy, 86 pips, bagged, done, 2 risk reward ratio, bagged, 6% done, $125, bang. So taking a look here on this pair, I'm kind of expecting it to start reversing and heading towards the upside, especially with like Joe Biden being picked. But obviously the sellers here right now are controlling the market. So if I just put in this fib from this low to this high, then possibly an entry point around here could be pretty nice. Right here, if we were to move this level along, I think that this here could be pretty nice to enter in here on market open. That way we could really just kind of enter in on a buy around this level here, actually just target these highs up here once again for that big 120 move, and obviously just have our stop loss something similar to this, or even tighter around really just here below this previous market structure. And then that way here you can see I've got 2.5. if I risk around 3% here, then that'll just be hopefully around $60, $70. I mean, that'll be, this trade here will be around $100, so that could be pretty nice, right? But with that said, that's kind of just the setup I'm looking for on this pair, and if I get it, if I wake up in time, I'll be sure to enter in here. But first I'd have to obviously see signs of a rejection occurring kind of at this 0.5 level. But I'm still looking, I still think that even if this pair does come down to around here, I'd probably look for an entry, because we can also see that looking at the OBV and the RSI that it is kind of hitting that like that low region and that oversold region on the RSI. So it's kind of just giving us signs that it's possibly able to start moving back towards the upside there, especially with the fib and this key level that's kind of been relevant for a minute or so, you know. So hopefully it stays relevant or whatever, but my bias is actually on this pair. Is just going to dip a little bit but then probably just go up and continue heading upwards, right? It's really that simple. So taking a look here at this pair, it's kind of just been in this range kind of, but that key level there does remain relevant with it being resistance there and a support over here, but then it does drop. So it's kind of ranging just kind of aids, like we can see here it's in this downtrend. We can see it's continued the downtrend, but even though it's like continued it, if you were to just trade simply from this range here, it's kind of just ranging, right? So it's not really that good. I wouldn't particularly enter in, but let's just zoom out and see what it has to say on that 4 hour time frame, right? So taking a look here at this 4 hour time frame, it's not looking too shabby. So this here is obviously coronavirus, so it's kind of dipped, but pre-COVID it did kind of shoot back up. So maybe if let's just whip out the fib, because here I'm probably going to start looking pretty bullish on USD CHF. So if we can just enter in, then possibly there might be a similar setup like we did see on that USD JPY pair. So here we'll just kind of zoom in here and whip out the fib. Alright, so did my stream just stop working or something? Okay, so my stream manager app just broke. And it's actually just not working. So I'm not quite sure what's wrong with that. But sorry if you are commenting, I might be a bit slow on the responses today. Mostly just because like my phone isn't really working for it, and I've literally got no idea why, because I am live, so that's a bit weird, isn't it? But yeah, so we'll just continue on. So I'm going to use a fib. Okay, so my fib is actually just like broken right now, so we'll move this, we'll fix it, and kind of just have it from okay, let's just get rid of that fib and use it from this low here up to this high up here. And once again, we can kind of see that once it enters in, hopefully we can get it towards this 0.5 area, and also looking for a buy, probably like hopefully around towards just under the 0.5 kind of target. Obviously this previous market structure, have our stop loss here and risk about 3% or so, and this will obviously just kind of allow us to enter in on the markets. This here will be just shy of $100 maybe, or it will be just shy of $120. So this here could also be a really good trade that I could be looking at this week, as well as this trade here. But I could also just put my stop loss here and kind of still make some pretty good profits on this trade. So with that said, we'll head over into USD Canadian dollar. So here it's kind of not as good as the previous setup, so in terms of analyzing it, we'll just whip out a fib from up here down to here. We can kind of see that there was a bit of rejection here at this 0.6 level, so it started to come down, and there's also a key level here, and this slight trend here is downwards, right? And even if we were to zoom out, we could see that I kind of did try to hit this high again over here, was unable to, so now it's continuing down, but then it did actually create a lower low down here, so there is that downwards momentum. But because it did hit this lower low and it hasn't previously, that's probably the signs of this this moving back towards the upside. Now if we were to even move out, just move out a bit more, we could see that anytime it did hit these lows down here, it's kind of a pretty good sign to buy in, kind of take it towards the upside. Unfortunately I did miss out on this trade, but you know, it is what it is, and we'll try and come back and get another opportunity. So in terms of this trade, we did actually see that it did break out of this extreme high that was set, and it did create a higher high up here. So I'd move this up here, and we can kind of see that there's this key level right around about here, where it is this resistance, and then support level here, and then support level there again. We can kind of see that this pair here has been really just extremely bullish overall, so I guess we're kind of just gonna have to wait to see if it starts creating a bit of a downtrend back to its previous levels. But to be honest, it actually is just at its normal levels now, so or pre-COVID levels I should say, just around here. So with that said, like, to me, I feel like this pair is probably going to start heading towards the downside there, especially taking a look at what was happening pre-COVID, right? So just here, it's start heading down, start heading down, start heading down. So hopefully this one here also starts doing the same thing. But in terms of setups, there really isn't too many, unless obviously I could use like a small fib from up here down to here, enter in here, because there is that kind of key level here. So if I had entered in on that little 0.5 there, hopefully I could get in on a quick trade, nice little in and out, enter in on that 0.5, have the stop loss at around that 0.7, have my take profit there, risk maybe 1% on this trade because it is kind of that tighter stop loss, and then hopefully I can just bag it out. But then once it does hit kind of that 1-to-1 risk to reward, done, kind of just you know, close half the position and just leave the remainder of it on the table, right? So I'm gonna have to see once again how it reacts to this area, but that there could be a setup, but that's kind of a small trade and it's pretty quick, so I'm gonna have to wait, right? So taking a look here, it kind of did hit this upper echelon of this extreme range, but then we can see that it does kind of just fluctuate. So here it is coming down right now, but this isn't really anything that I'll be looking to trade right now, or especially at the start of the week. So with that said, like it's just kind of average. Don't really want to enter in on this one, but you know, it is what it is. So we're just going to instantly skip over to the next pair here. We can see that there was this setup here that I did miss, which is just pretty unfortunate. It's really just my same bias I have. I do think it's going to continue heading towards this upside here, depending on how obviously the USD pair goes. If the USD obviously crashes, and this pair here will shoot up, and you know, that's kind of really just like what I'm expecting. But I'm also expecting the US dollar here to go up, and so here if the GBP does go up, then it might not be kind of as good as what I was thinking, but for me this pair here is still going to be pretty bullish, and yeah, that's really my analysis is here. So I'm using this low here, this high up here, looking for a break and retest of this structure, and then I can see it breaks all up to here, whip out the fib. I can see that there is this key level here where it is resistance here, here, support here, here, and here. So there we've got a few signs of a key level being formed, and we can see this sign of rejection here, and take it towards this upside, right? So that is just simply a trade that I did miss heading to the late. And this one here also looks pretty good. Like if you were to use a fib from maybe this low here to this high, I can kind of see that it is on that 0.5 level where you do start to first see rejections. But for me, what happened was I didn't really see it on the key level there. So like if I was to go to the 1 hour chart, it's not really on the key level yet for me, so it's kind of unfortunate. Unless I did mark up this level of resistance here, then it would be, but it didn't really hit my kind of level, so I didn't really enter in on that trade obviously, which is completely fine because I obviously had a big week this week and I didn't really need to rush into any trades, considering I had a pretty big win at that 6%, right? Now I only need to make about how many percent? 2, 4, 6, around 6%. Again, if I make 6% this week, that's a hit out of the park. I need to make what? I need to make 4%, and then that'll be kind of just enough for me to try and apply for the $100,000 account and really just live off of that funding. Because at the end of the day, this is like what I want to do. Can't really be bothered doing anything else, and if I want to do it, I'm going to do it, right? So I might as well just try and get it. Hopefully I've been profitable already on this account, so hopefully it's good. Anyway, just not getting distracted. I'm kind of see it finally broke out of this range, man, after so long, since like almost 2 months or something. And it's looking like it's going to continue heading up. Like maybe if we would use a fib, there isn't really a key level here, so I didn't really enter in back, and I did have my big win, and I didn't really enter in here because if I take a look here, it did miss my entry by only a few pips there, which is unfortunate. So what I'm going to do to clean my charts, obviously get rid of that, and then also what I'm going to do, I just kind of want to test out what it's looking like with the fib, obviously. So here we can once again see that same sort of rejection at that 0.5 level that we're kind of seeing with the other GBP pairs. Now, this here, I can't really see a key level where it is seeing this rejection. So this here could just be like kind of that correction movement for this big impulse upwards movement. But then now I can see that this little downwards area section, whatever would be the correction, now it's probably going to look to create a bigger high, but that is at the end of the day simply just that's just what it would look like in the textbook. Obviously it does have the ability to kind of just test around this area here and then bounce back down, and obviously that's not going to look too good, right, if you're in a long position there. So that's kind of not going to be so good. Making sure I'm still recording, cool. And yeah, so we'll just head over to the next pair. And because I don't really like this fib not being on a key level, I'm just going to get rid of it, right? So I trade my 3 rules. Wait, how many rules do I have? I like to trade kind of an obvious pattern, whether it be sideways, down or up. So that's basically the first rule. The second rule is that I want it to be within the 0.5 to 0.6 area on a fib. So that's kind of the second rule that I have. And then obviously the third rule I have is that I'd like it to kind of be on a key level, or like that 0.5 to 0.6 area to be on a key level. Those are really just my three rules that I have. And then that's just applying those three rules there has really just been profitable for me. But obviously it takes experience in terms of risk management, opening, closing trades, having kind of that dynamic stop loss and that sort of stuff. So with that said, we'll just continue heading on. So taking a look here, it's still kind of in just ranging within here. You can see that it is trying to test those higher highs up here. If you were to zoom out, I'm going to just use a 4-hour chart just so I can kind of gauge more data. But here it's clearly just telling me the same thing. We did get this break, and then we did see the rejection here occur. So this here could be a sign that it is heading towards that upside. But then for me, I'm still also not really interested in this pair, as it's not really a clear, obvious trend line, right? So with that said, just going to skip over to the next one. And this here, I was just doing some analysis to kind of show how you could trade for the little correction, or you could trade for the impulse, and generally most people do end up trading for that impulse move, right? So let me just get rid of one of the fibs here. So this here would be my bias, right? Kind of just taking this little uptrend and seeing this. We can see this 0.5 to 0.6. We can see the rejection occurring at the key level on the 0.5 in this uptrend, kind of just here, even though it did set obviously a new low down here, which kind of indicates that this uptrend momentum is slowing down. But you know, it's nothing to really worry about. Well, it is something to worry about, but you know, it does look still extremely bullish. But this is once again also due to that US election occurring. So possibly we could see this pair start to head down. But then what I was trying to tell my mate is that you could also trade simply these corrections here. If you were to kind of just use a fib from this high to this low, you could see that if you were to enter in on this here would be the impulse, and then this here would be the slight correction. So it really depends on how you look at. But for me, this here really isn't a kind of a clear trend anymore, so I wouldn't actually enter in on this pair. So just checking the chat, no one in the chat, kind of dead. Damn, man's heart's broken. Anyway, so taking a look here, we can kind of see another banger trade here, 113 pips with almost zero drawdown. Woohoo! That's what I'm talking about. You can obviously see from this here to this level up here, you can see it comes back, tests that 0.5 to 0.6. You can see that on this 0.6 here, you can obviously see that there's a key level. You enter in on this key level, you take it towards the upside, bang, 113 pips out of the park. You already know that's like a 2-3 day trade, bang. So yeah, and like if you risk in 3% on that, that was like a 3 risk to reward. You made 9%. You make 9% of 100,000. That's $9,000. You take away 30% of 9,000. What's that? 9,000 times that by 70%. Oops, sorry. Whoops. I meant to times that by 0.7. That's how much money I would have made in literally 1 week from doing absolutely nothing. And then if I had 2 trades, bang, that's 12 grand I could have made. That's half of the salary that people make in the US, right? So I think that could be pretty nice. But yeah, so taking a look here, I'm kind of expecting it to continue heading back down towards this key level, or this area of interest, right? But for me, this pair doesn't really look. Let's just whip out the fib, okay? So here we whip out the fib. Here we're kind of seeing that there could be possible signs of rejection down here, but then once again, this pair here isn't really looking too good of a trend, as it's kind of creating lower lows here, but then like high highs up here. So that's kind of just like a bit weird, and I wouldn't really want to trade this. So not as of yet. This one here is looking pretty clear, to be honest. You can kind of just see this overall downtrend, and then we can see that kind of on this level, even though it did break above it, it did it kind of did end up having this this rejection kind of just at around here. So this here could possibly just continue heading toward that downside, but for me, we can see that it is, whenever it did kind of hit this lower area, it did start to move up. So with that said, let's just work out the fib from this low to this high. We can kind of see that there was this area here of resistance, so we're just going to mark that up and kind of see how it reacts if it does end up dropping down to here. So as you can hear, I am extremely sick, but you know, I already do try and get out this content to you guys every week, even if I do get it a bit late with festivals and all that sort of stuff. So you know, it's just unfortunate. But let's head into, oh shit, is that another trade? Look at this risk to reward, 2.3 risk to reward, bang it out, 144 pips, dunzos. But unfortunately I did not take it because I already won this week. So now here we can kind of see it did hit this extreme low, and now it's obviously extremely bullish. So we can also see that there is that bit of rejection happening here. So I wouldn't really like to enter in until I do see another impulsive movement. So then that way I could use my fib from this low here. I'll use it from, and hopefully it's able to kind of go all the way up to here. And then if it drops back down to, if it goes up to here and then drops back down to here, it could look pretty nice to enter in on that buy towards the upside. Even though it is kind of heading on this overall downtrend here, I could then see it kind of going up to here, coming back down, retesting this trend line, obviously this one here, and then just continuing to go back up. So I'm pretty biased on an up movement here. This one here really is exactly the same as that previous this one here. We can kind of see that it is getting kind of close to this area, and we can see that whenever it did hit this area, it kind of shot back up here, here, but there is this potential for this to even drop a bit lower down to around here, right down to this, where this extreme low is. So with that said, I'm probably just going to wait for it to hit here and then enter in on the buy, take it towards the upside. As we can see, even here it could go even further below, according to just like previous data, right? So that's like just what we're using. But once it does get down there, you can really just hold it for a long time and it will 100% go up. And by long, I mean possibly like a week or two, right? So it's really not bad at all in terms of that as a trade. Here we can kind of see that it was in this overall downtrend, but then the US election, I presume, had something to do with this pretty bullish movement. But then like kind of the AUD is just a weird pair to trade, especially with the USD. And I don't really trade it because it's like a super weird trend that's kind of happens, and it's super volatile, but not a lot of pips. So it's just kind of a weird pair to trade because it has a lot of volatility. But then like it doesn't provide a lot of value, if that makes sense. So then you'd have to use a higher lot sizes, and I don't know, it's just weird. So I don't really like to trade this pair, but I do have it just in case it does give me that setup, because I did some testing. I do have a pretty good win rate. And then here obviously I've got my stocks that I do invest in, and I can see here like Tesla might be a good buy right now to enter in on. If I just take a look here, maybe Microsoft is alright. And let's just take a look here at Apple. Apple is just average as well, you know, you kind of just want to get it on a subtrend or when it's at one of these levels. But guys, that's really it for today. If you do want to shoot me a message, just check out my exclamation mark Discord, Twitter, YouTube, or just search up Sniper Doofus on any of on Instagram, Twitter, or YouTube, right? You'll find me. Once again, if you did watch this far, let me know on YouTube, because that's kind of where I do most of my stuff. Kind of go over my strategy in more detail, how to open up Forex accounts, things I've learned, all that sort of stuff. And once I do hit that 100 subs, I will be giving away a $50 account. But then once I do hit like 200 subs, I give away a $100 account. Once I hit 500, I'll be giving away a $250 account. Once I get to 1,000 subs, I'll be giving away a $500 account and that sort of stuff. So if you want to be a part of those giveaways and stuff like that, please just shoot me a message, and I'll also be documenting my journey to that $100,000 trading account. So guys, with that said, I hope you guys enjoyed the content, and that's gonna be it for today. So with that said, see ya.